I'm here with Jacinthe Perret.
Perfectly said.
She's got an awesome accent. She's got an awesome story. Thank you for connecting with me when you did. And I want to just share with you guys the story on coming from a new country. And she's had such great success in real estate, and just kind of share what's brought you success, what you're doing. So I got some questions to go over. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. She's with Fathom Realty, which is a great real estate company. I work with a couple of agents in that office, and she came highly recommended. We had an opportunity to connect, and I thought her story was really cool and wanted to share that with you guys. First question, what really got you into real estate?
COVID. Interesting, right? We moved to San Diego in 2020 at the end of June from the East Coast. So I'm originally from Quebec, moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia years ago, and built a whole career and life there. And my husband and I wanted to come back here where he started his career in the Navy. So all the wheels were in motion, and COVID hit, and we stayed the course because that's part of who we are. And at the time I was working, I had my own boutique advertising agency, and my clients were travel and tourism related. So when I moved here, they wanted to continue working with me. I had one more year of contract, and then COVID hit, and tourism came to a dead halt. And particularly one of my clients, Virginia Beach Tourism, hired me to bring Canadians to Virginia Beach, and the border was closed. So that was impossible to continue that career, and it was totally fine because it was time to transition into a new career and something new. And I had been thinking about real estate because I always had a personal interest in that, owning property on the East Coast, having tried to sell it. We were thinking about selling it during COVID when we moved here. And luckily we held on to it and are renting it now. But so it was kind of like, okay, what do I want to do now that will continue to serve people, bring me fulfillment? And what career can I explore where I will be able to use all of my experience over the years to be able to help people? And my husband introduced me to some coworkers, and one of them was a realtor. And he kind of listened to me, and he said, have you ever thought about doing real estate? Because I think you would be perfect for that.
And you're already kind of thinking
about
that?
I was kind of thinking about it. And then my best friend on the East Coast had told me the same thing. She's like, Jacinthe, you're made for this. And I was like, are you crazy? Yeah. So I was like, well, maybe I need to think about that. And my husband was super supportive. So I was like, let's just do this. And that's how I got going on this in the thick of COVID 2020.
We all remember our first transaction. Can you take me through your first listing appointment where you were super green, you have the marketing background, you have the tourism background, but now you got to sell a home? Can you take me through what that first initial buyer consultation or listing presentation looked like?
Yes, that was, I'll never forget this. So I'm a big networker. That's how I do business. That's how I function as a person, because I love to hear people's stories, what they're about. I love interesting people and interested people. So that's how I am. And I believe there's not one connection that's not worth my time or anybody's time. So this gentleman reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he had a rental company that he was just starting for like short-term rental. And he saw my tourism background, and he asked me if I would meet up with him for coffee. And that was my first week that I had my license in San Diego.
In San Diego, okay.
Yes, exactly. So we went out for coffee, and we chatted and had a lot in common and had a great conversation, and said, okay, so we'll keep each other's in mind if there's ever some opportunities to collaborate. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from him, and he said, listen, Jacinthe, I have spared you the details, but I'm kind of going through a very hard patch in divorce right now, and I need a house yesterday. And I would like you to help me find one. So that was my first client. And so it was at that point 2021, and it's like bidding wars everywhere, and I'm representing a buyer, and I kind of all these forms to fill out. So we put in an offer on a couple of properties, and one of them, my broker was like, I think your offer is too low, but it'll be good practice, so go for it. Well, the offer is accepted.
Wow.
And that's how it started. So I was like, I'm not sure I know exactly what I'm doing, but I will learn everything. And it was quite interesting, and it went really well.
That is awesome. That's within 2 weeks of you coming to
I was on week 3.
So were you
No, of having my license.
having the license? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Now, were you marketing on LinkedIn to that type of client, or was it just like divine intervention? Were you?
I had my profile there, and I did market on it some, but I think he was just kind of going through real estate agent because it made sense for him. And he said something very important to me. He said, Jacinthe, I reach out to real estate agent all the time, and nobody even returns my phone call. You're the only person who's agreed to meet with me. And mind you, I was new in the market, but I truly, genuinely believe in the power of networking and helping each other out.
Yeah.
And that to me it just reinforced that thought of how important it is to take the time to sit down with people and hear their story and see how we can help each other.
I love what you said. Enjoying people that are interested and that are also interesting.
Absolutely.
It's really important for it to go both ways.
Absolutely.
And you probably didn't take that meeting trying to help him buy or sell real estate. It was probably really genuine. You had a background, and something that he was interested in. And that's awesome that it turned into your first client.
Yes, it did. It did. It was exciting.
That's really cool. Take me through you coming to a brand new city, and you're helping 15 to 20 families a year, and in a really tough market. Talk me about your networking groups. Talk me about how you're marketing to your past clients. Like, how are you able just to jump off as quickly as you did in a really competitive market like San Diego?
I think part of me never pays attention to how difficult anything will be once I have my heart set on it. So I decided I was going to do real estate.
Wow.
I truly believe that helping people, I'm a firm believer that we're out here to live our best life. And that's why I left my country to explore something new. We left the East Coast to move to the West Coast to pursue that dream. It's never easy, but if you don't try it, you'll never get it. And my husband and I are firm believers in that. So we went full speed ahead and pursued our dream of living here because we're outdoor people. We love the climate. The geology is amazing here. So we're like, okay. So I don't think I paid any attention to how many real estate agents there are here, how competitive it's going to be, because what was that going to do for me? So I chose to reframe my mindset and kind of go towards, let's just go out there and first of all, learn about all the nuances of the different neighborhoods of San Diego County and Riverside County. And just go out there and meet people. Genuinely meet people, have fun. So that's when I joined the Balboa Tennis Club and made some amazing friends there.
Awesome.
And just go out there and just, again, going back to being interesting and interested. Who are they? And let's just make friends. And what's their story? And what are their needs? And I go out and play tennis. I don't go out and think, am I going to sell a house? That's not how I approach life.
Right.
And then it kind of happens organically because I think if you can be genuine and really care about people and be truly who you are, then they will see that. And I think people are longing for that very much so because it's such an emotional transaction. And I felt like real estate is going to help me help people live their best life. Whether you're going through a hard divorce and you're moving on to a new life, or you're a first-time home buyer and you're super excited because this is the first house you're going to have together, or somebody passed and you need to move on. I mean, those are all incredibly emotional phases of life that if you push through them, you will have on the other side, there will be sunshine again. And to be part of that and be able to help is quite empowering, and it's quite fulfilling, truly.
I love what you said. It's, especially in today's market, it's easy to get caught up in fear, right? Rising cost of goods. I mean, everything is so expensive, but through fear can be opportunity. And I love your mindset of when you came to something, you weren't focused on all that could go wrong. You focused on all the value you can bring, all the opportunities it can bring. And that's such a crucial and important mindset, no matter what field you're in. And I'm very confident and sure that that's what's brought you so much success is you came at it from a place of, hey, what can I give rather than what can I get?
Totally.
And that mindset is really powerful because you don't live in fear. I think a lot of people live in fear. I think the media does a really good job about keeping us in fear, and that stops activity, right? And non-activity is like the ultimate thief. I mean, comparison's the ultimate thief of joy, right? We know that. You weren't really comparing what other real estate agents are doing. You're like, genuinely, like, I'm coming here, I'm all in. If I can help people, great. If I can provide value, great. But your heart's in it. And I think that's really important. And you're not in it for the money. And you're doing super well. So thank you for sharing that. It was a good reminder for me.
Thank you.
Personally. What would you say you're most proud of in your real estate career journey so far?
I think it would be proud and proudly grateful at the same time is that I am very proud that I've managed to help already so many people. And I'm grateful that they saw and they trusted me, in this journey. And I think it's a beautiful career where age is on your side, unlike other industries where you have more life experience, you have more personal experience, business acumen that you've, accumulated over the years. And then you can use all of that to be able to help people. So I'm just very appreciative that people see that and they were willing to give me a chance, to help them in this new market. So
thank you. What is next in your real estate career? What does Jacinth look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What can you see yourself doing in the real estate?
Well, continuing to learn, because every transaction there's something new to learn. And that's what's so exciting also at the same time, because it's so good for continued growth, continuing to learn new things. So I want to continue to learn so that I can continue to bring value to my buyers, my sellers, my investors. And then I just see myself being able to help and continue to help so many people, with these life transactions. So definitely more experience, more clients, more buyers that I can help through their journey. So continued growth, I think.
I wanted to have you on and you're very humble, but I want to share your success with other people because I think you're so relatable. I mean, have you thought about taking the next step of being like a team lead and training up the new generation of real estate agents? I mean, has that something that you've thought about, or are you more just focused on, hey, this is kind of my business, it's hard enough already, I want to focus more on that? Or have you thought about like mentorship or being a team lead at all?
The thought has crossed my mind when I was a partner in an advertising and public relation agency for multiple years on the East Coast. I had that great opportunity to do that. And I had amazing team of people where I got to really coach them and mentor them. And so I've totally appreciated that experience. When I moved here, I just felt like, okay, I need to get myself up to speed on this new industry. And then, and so the thought has crossed my mind, and never say never. I always love to pay forward what I learned and then help other people. Yesterday, I went to one of those brokers tour to pitch a listing that I have right now. And there was a young gal who just started. And I said to her, never underestimate the power of meeting anybody and everybody, because there's always a story there. And I told her about my first buyer.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, thank you. So it just, it feels good, because if you learn something, why not help other people with it?
I totally see that in your DNA is just helping people. You're really good about that. If you were going to look at the Jacinth that came into real estate, 4 or 5 years ago, what lessons have you learned on the way that maybe you would give advice to a new agent or to your former self?
Well, it is not a business for the faint of heart. That is for sure. I mean, you need to be resilient. You need to be determined. It is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It very much so, in my opinion. If you're looking for a quick get up and going and these quick sells, good luck and good for you if you have that. My philosophy is more about long-term building relationships, and that may take a little bit longer, but I find that it's more sustainable and more enjoyable for especially repeat customers that come back and you sold them a house and then they want to hire you to sell it. So I'm going through that right now after 4 or 5 years of doing this. So this is very rewarding. So I think it's just not one previous job I've done hasn't come in handy right now. So this best advice would be everything you're learning every day, whatever job you did in the past, there's some elements of it that you can use as a realtor that will be beneficial for you. So just think in those terms, and again, just pay attention to your clients. You know, what are they about? What do they need? It's not about which neighborhood I like. It's about them. You know, I position myself as a lifestyle realtor who will pay a lot of attention to what lifestyle do you have, so I can guide you in the right areas to begin with, and then we'll find the house. You know, it's not about the house per se all the time. You've got to be able to get up and go walk to that little coffee shop in the morning if that's what you want. And so I think as a new realtor, I spent a lot of energy in my previous experience trying to brand myself. Who am I? What are my strengths? And how am I going to go at it and differentiate myself from the other 20,000 realtors? Yeah. So that's where I kind of I joined some affinity groups, the tennis community, the French Canadian, or the Canadians in California, and just with the spirit of making friends. Yeah. Truly, to begin with, and I have. And that's awesome.
That's awesome. If you were going to look at your year moving forward for 2025, is there any like networking groups or seminars or something that you would like to get more involved with that you've been thinking about maybe getting your feet wet with at all? Or
playing more tennis. That's
the hobby. You love that.
Do I try pickleball?
Yeah.
What do I do? So I think honestly, I'm always looking for networking opportunities and learning opportunities. So I do want to start more probably client or informational or educational type of events where I can team up with different people in the industry. And again, we can bring that knowledge to our buyers and sellers out there, because knowledge is power. And if we can help educate them and take that fear away from them and just have like a business conversation and then a human to human conversation, I think it just sheds a lot of light for them, and so they can make a better informed decision about their future and, you know, where they want to go and live that next chapter of their lives.
Education is so powerful. And I feel like you have that kind of teacher mentality where you want to be able to explain maybe an experience you had that didn't go well, and you can share with them, hey, don't make this mistake. You know, I'm the oldest of 6, and I think my siblings have learned what not to do from the older sibling. And it is cool to be able to give back and teach and educate, you know, to the younger generation. Last question that I have. You came into the market in a really hard time that was really weird, but also fruitful. Now we're in a different kind of a hard time that maybe isn't as fruitful, but education now more than ever is super important with everything going on. What do you feel like the biggest difference is between those two markets? I know a lot of viewers probably know that interest rates were at 2-3%, right? In 2020, 2021. So it was maybe a little bit easier, but I feel like it's easier now in a lot of ways, but I know that the interest rate isn't a really good selling point. Maybe to a real estate agent advice, and then also a buyer or a seller, what would you say is the biggest difference right now to prepare for in this market?
Well, back then you had bidding wars everywhere. And I think for a buyer, and I represented a lot of buyers being new in this market, it was very difficult, you know, to be able to have a winning offer when you're competing with 20, 30 other offers in 4 days. I mean, I saw that repeatedly. So I think it's just shifted a little bit. It was easy for sellers back then. I think right now it's a little bit more of a buyer market to some aspect, because there's a little bit more inventory, less competition, but the interest rates are higher. So I think, you know, being creative in how we go about structuring deals is super important right now. You know, there's different ways to skin a cat. There's always opportunities in any market. That's the way I look at it. So if the timing is right for that one individual, let's just sit down and brainstorm about like, what are your goals and what are you trying to achieve? And let's just figure out a game plan on how to get there. So I think those are the biggest differences I see, that if people would be willing to not let, you know, what you hear out there with the media all the time and just fear overall, going back to that concept, let's just figure out a way to get to that. Because out of all the transactions I've done, none of them have been a straight line. There's 65 different ways to structure a deal. And I think we've got to be creative in how we do that. So
that's great advice. I lied. I got one more question. Who would you say has been the biggest role model, or someone that you look at as kind of like an inspiration, would you say, in your life?
In my life or in real estate?
Both.
Oh, yeah. That's a big question.
This is off script.
Yeah. In my life, I would say I have so many of them. So it's really hard. I have to say at least two.
Okay.
So my very first boss that I had when I was still living in Quebec gave me the wings to fly. He trusted me, believed in me, and he supported me in every aspect. So I think I got that desire to mentor from him, because whenever I would interview people at the agency coming fresh out of college, I always told them, interview me as much as I'm interviewing you, because your first
Great
boss
point.
is going
Great
to be
point.
so important. They will mold you in some aspect and will have a lasting impression, and hopefully it's a good one. So I kind of did the same thing when I moved here. I spoke with different brokerage firms to see, where is that right fit for me, my personality, and because they all have similar structures to some extent. And then I got to find my home, I've got to find my peers and my DNA and that kind of thing. So I would say from, so there's definitely him, Maurice, in Quebec. And then in this country, again, I have so many, and I hate to single out, but I have to give a shout out to my husband. I have to do that. He's a retired Navy SEAL, and we came back here where he started his career. And he has supported me through everything and believes in me, even when at the beginning, when I was so nervous looking at all these forms, from cars and how do I write this contract. And so you have to have, someone who believes in you and motivates you when you're in a partnership. And I have that awesome person in my life. So
That's awesome. Great answers on the spot. Where can people reach you?
They can reach me. So I still have my East Coast area code. So 757-650-0899. I am with Fathom Realty, Jacinthe Paris. I go by Jay if it's easier. I answer to anything that somewhat sounds like that name. But I'm here to help. I just can't wait to make more dreams happen and come true for people.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
You have a listing in Del Cerro. Great area, great neighborhood. Tell me about the story behind that listing and kind of what you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, so that is a beautiful, beautiful property. 6770 Emberley Street. We're in Del Cerro, which is a wonderfully centrally located neighborhood, 5 minutes from Mission Trails and 20 minutes from the coast. So, and you have direct access to the 8, the 52. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, move-in ready. And so this is a fun story. So this is a repeat client of mine, and I met them 3 years ago. They're from Quebec like I am, and they had been living in Palm Springs, and they have 2 beautiful dogs, and then they wanted to get closer to the coast, and it was a little warm in Palm Springs, so I helped them buy that property 3 years ago during bidding war season. So we were quick and swift, and we got it. So they had been living in it for 3 years, thinking they were going to stay there for the long run. And then move forward 3 years from now, they're finding it various reasons, but one of them is they're finding it too cold here. So we moved back to Palm Spring, and I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I helped them purchase a property over there. So all that to say that these people thought they were going to be in there in the long run. They did all these improvements that are so well done. So I have zero fear about the home inspection on that property. So the first thing we did, he did was that they did rather is new roof. We have 31 owned Tesla solar panels. They have the backup batteries in the garage and the stage 2 charger, and the 2 of them with a car that they were charging every night. They had a 0 power bill. Wow. So this is pretty awesome. And then what made them fall in love with that property is the beautiful backyard with unobstructed western view. So amazing sunsets. It's like a move-in ready. They changed the flooring. We have new multi-zone HVAC. And I always give that advice to my buyers is once you buy a property, immediately start tracking all the improvements that you will do, because you never know when you're going to resell it.
Yeah.
These guys had already been doing that. Did not need to have that conversation with them because they're smart, and they already had that. So I had that beautiful list of all the improvements they did and when the warranty transfers to the next buyers and all that. So they put in over $145,000 in that house, and so this is 4-bedroom, 2-bath. What I've seen so far is that it's it's in the Patrick Henry High School District. So I see a lot of families, and I'm 1,480 square feet. It feels bigger than that, because it's really open and it opens right up to the beautiful backyard. But I'm seeing a lot of families coming in with 2 or 3 children. They're finding it a little cozy for them. So it might be the perfect place for empty nesters that love to entertain. That's who I'm seeing right now is kind of like gravitating towards this. But this is near and dear to my heart, this one. So I will be doing opens this weekend again. So I would love to have the opportunity to show it to as many people as possible.
It's a weird market right now. We were so spoiled, to have the 2020s, 2021, 2022, where, you'd put your home on the market. You probably would get an offer in 1 or 2 weeks tops, right? What people forget, pre-pandemic levels, it was normal to go a month and a half without any offers. So there's that sense of like panic that the seller, is like, oh my gosh, no one likes my home. How are you kind of combating is not the right word, but how are you handling kind of those responses from your sellers right now?
They're smart people. I show them the data and what we're looking at, and then we're just putting our brains together on like what's the best way to position it. So it is a reality check indeed. That's where knowledge is power, and you've got to know your market data and what's going on so that you can reassure your buyers about like this has shifted. I mean, we are not in 2022 where yes, indeed, in 3 days there were 30 offers on that house. This is not the market right now. So, but there is a buyer for every property. So it requires a little bit more patience and maybe a little bit more creativity on the financing part, as we were talking about, maybe some buy down opportunities on the interest rates so that people can see themselves like, okay, there's the opportunity right now because you're not competing with 6 other people at the same time. So how do I make this happen again? So
I love what you said. When you buy a home, it's a very emotional experience, mostly all the time. Right now, with all the uncertainty kind of in the market, tariffs, prices, interest rates, buyers are becoming a lot more rational, which is good, right? I mean, you're not having these, 100,000 over asking offers, no contingencies. Like it's a very, in a different way, it's actually a really healthy market. I've never seen a better time for first-time home buyers to buy than right now. I always look to see who's winning in tough markets, and we're seeing new builds because they're offering these low interest rates. So my thought process is like, how do we advertise and market what the builder is doing? So when you have a motivated seller like yours, there are opportunities where you can market for the new buyer a below market interest rate. For example, I think buyers care more about the payment than the price. If you're going to be living in that home, which typically people live in homes for at least 3 to 5 years, at least, if they think that they're overpaying on a home, you're going to gain that equity back in a matter of a year, maybe 2, if you really think you're overpaying and you're going to be in that home longer than that. The payment is really what it comes down to at the end of the day. So if a seller drops their purchase price $20,000, a mortgage payment savings is really going to be about $120 a month. If the seller comes in and helps market $20,000 seller credit that the buyer could take that cash and utilize to getting a lower monthly payment, they could actually save themselves up to $500-$600 a month with that low rate. And I think that that's a really interesting strategy that a lot of the builders are doing is, hey, our builder is willing to offer you this. You don't need to pay it out of pocket, but that's how you're getting below market interest rate. So we can market things that way to help a buyer feel more comfortable on getting a lower monthly payment. And I know there's a lot of people out there that believe that interest rates are going to come down. I like 30-year fixed options. I mean, ARM adjustable rate mortgages can be competitive. But if you can get an interest rate starting in the 5s for a 30-year fix the seller is willing to cover and pay down for, that's going to help a buyer a lot more at the end of the road, at the end of the day. So I think that's something that I think some agents should and lenders should be thinking creatively about is, hey, how do we help a new buyer coming in? The home is going to sell itself. You're not going to sell necessarily a payment, but we've seen that COVID, people bought homes they may not have loved, but they liked the payment, right? And
Absolutely.
Now they want to sell, but they feel locked in because their payment's so low. So going back to your rational mindset, right? It's like, hey, now buyers are actually thinking. It's just healthy. This is how it should always be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely not, I don't see emotional buyers right now. It's all about does it make sense for me? Does it have the right square footage? Is the kitchen big enough to cook meals with my family?
Right.
And the other ones are pluses, right? So, but I think this is a perfect example of creative ways to structure deals right now, and it's brilliant. So I think this is one way to look at it, moving forward.
Something that when you have a coachable seller, which it seems like you have, that you can coach them that, hey, let's figure out how we can enter a buyer's mind to get a lower monthly payment. I think that's a win-win for everyone.
Right? I agree.
They're trying to sell their house, move on their next phase of life, and this new family can see there's opportunity out there. So,
absolutely. Yep.
Anything else you wanted to share or add?
I think we're good. Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yes.
Great. And you're going to be doing the open house?
Yes, this weekend, Memorial Weekend, I will be there from 1 to 4 on Saturday and 10 to 1 on Sunday. Yes, and I also do private tours. I live 9 minutes from there, so that's easy for me to show up. And I always like to do that because then I get to meet, also the buyer's agent and the buyers and create the rapport immediately. So
awesome. And you have social media. Where can people follow you on your different accounts?
I do. Yes, absolutely. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. So I'm very active there. So yes.
Awesome.
All
Thanks
right.
so much.
Thanks so much, Michael.